Now that we've wrapped up Module 1, you've been hit with all these facts and everything, and they seem kind of convoluted, but they actually come out to, a story. And the story is pretty clear, and it actually makes logical sense. Now, I'm thinking about possibly doing a project, and the first step in the process, find people. You can't know everything. Nobody knows everything. And so what you need is to get different people together and talk about it. And maybe these people are going to be involved in the project long term. There's also political reasons why you do this, because you're going to need support for your project. And so you need to go find those people who are going to have a stake in what goes along. Now, in order to do something, it's got to be driven by a customer in some way, because we're talking about business here. And those customers might be external, or they might be internal. But what it comes down to is the meat of your statement of work, which is the document that summarizes this is what we're going to do for somebody, is got to come from them. Meaning, there's one of two ways to go about it. The customer itself will give you a statement of work, or the customer itself will give you a bunch of information, and then you need to write the statement of work. And it's probably a good idea to know what your selection processes are, because then you have some kind of insight to what internally what they're looking for. You then need to figure out a business case. Even if you're working for a nonprofit, you have to create revenue. And so you need to look at, what market are we going after and everything else. And also come up with the financials and what kind of payback am I going to get for doing this. Once I have that information, I can put together the project charter. And the project charter is so important because once it's signed off, I am now empowered to go ahead and carry this project forward. Without it, you can't. Not only that, but some organizations are really informal, and you get into trouble when you don't have a written document because people start arguing about what it is you're supposed to do or not do, what is approximately what your budget is supposed to be, and everything else. Now, we went over the selection processes, how they rate projects and stuff like that. And so once you gain approval, then what would happen next is you moved on to the next phase, which is the planning phase. This is where you get into the detailed planning, like what tasks are we going to do? What date are we going to deliver? How much money are we actually going to spend? Those types of things. Now, in terms of the charter, it's an agreement between the senior management and the project manager that you've been authorized. The requirements document is basically a formal document to communicate requirements to project stakeholders. Again, you have documentation, so this is what's been defined instead of having something informal. Now, your statement of work has these elements to it, and I don't go by it step by step with you because I think it's pretty much self-explanatory. We've already talked about some of the main steps, but there's actually actual examples that you can go look at, and here's one, which is done by FEMA, which is the government agency that does emergency management. Anyway, so who writes a statement of work? Again, it's the customer or PM with information from the customer. The project charter, here are the differences between the statement of work and the project charter. You could write that up by yourself. Now, the one thing you see is most businesses, when it comes to charter or it comes to statement of work, have templates. And every template is different. Some are very short, some are very long. For example, when you're in construction, those documents could be like 50 pages long based on a statement of work. And so they vary, but the basic information and concepts are pretty much the same. What is this project? What does it entail? Again, think triple constraint. How much time is it going to take? What kind of resources do I need? What is it that I'm going to go deliver? And the quality of it. What are the requirements on those deliverables? Now, one thing about all this is there's a lot of definitions. Those definitions get confusing, and there's an order to these documents. And the first is the statement of work, where you talk about deliverables, outcomes, and goals. It can be high level. In certain cases, it can be legally binding. Some are written as contracts. When we talk about scope of work, those are the specific steps to meet goals, task roles, and milestones. Basically, the scope of work is a subsection within the statement of work where you talk about the structure of how you're going to meet project deliverables. From this, the statement of work, then you can get the project charter, and this is your initiation diagram, and it's used for internal approval. And then beyond that, you can have a statement of scope. The statement of scope comes out of the statement of work, and this is where you start getting to nitty-gritty and real details about tasks, roles, and milestones. And this happens in the next stage, which is the planning stage. I hope that cleans things up for everyone. And if you have any questions, just let me know.